would make it this far. They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger. Hey, please don't play no games with me, I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart, we always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat in submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash and the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show, they all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and they're keeping it rolling, they already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger, cause it can get bigger.
All right. This is my mic checked in. Salute to everybody in the building. Salute to everybody in the building. I know we creeping in. Salute. We creeping in, taking our time. I know how that goes. Salute to everybody in the building, man. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm your host, Clay Moore Rain. Welcome to the ATP Combat Media's own The Rain Report, right? We solo a little bit today. People are going to be creeping in. Ray Davis should be popping a little late today. Angela Reyes has some outside things he needs to handle today. So, we're still going to get the show going. Of course, as I told you guys, we're going to be engaging with the space a whole lot more. So I do have a special guest today that's going to be popping in a little bit later today. We'll be talking to him. It's a promoter manager, Dimitri Popov. You guys probably best know him from being the manager of Julian Rodriguez. Obviously, he has a lot of inside information with how the dynamics of Zuffa works in comparison to the actual traditional space of boxing, as he has fighters all over the place. And he's going to be able to give us some on-the-ground perspective on what's going on with Zuffa. Just, get us educated what's going on with it. Coming off a great weekend of boxing, Sunday, great night of boxing with Zuffa Boxing. We got to see some great fights, some stoppages on that card. That's awesome. But I think most people are dialed in and getting their juices going for what's coming up this week. This is fight week. Pretty much every week is fight week, right, guys? But this is fight week. Ryan Garcia, Mario Barrios figure it out this week. Great undercard, right? We'll be getting into those conversations a little bit more as we get closer. There'll be a press conference on Thursday. Obviously, the weigh-ins on Friday, and obviously the main event on Saturday. And I'll be covering it. So if you ain't got nowhere else to be, where else you can be at, who's going to be calling it blow by blow, play by play. It'll be your boy Clay doing it. Probably the best out here doing that. Let's be honest. I'm saying? No, one of the best out here doing it. It is what it is. But today's conversation is going to be an interesting conversation outside of the interview with Dimitri Popov as we talk about what's going on in the politics on the inside behind the curtains of the sport. We still do need to talk about what's going on in the sport that we're fans of, right? And which is right now what seems to be shaking up the algorithm right now is the conversation of Devin Haney. Who's he going to be fighting next? Shakur Stevenson. There's rumors spinning around in the space of a card that's being worked on, the come out this summer, a King of the Ring card. Shout out to my brother Showbiz, the adult, who put out there that through his connections, he's hearing rumors of a potential Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson panning out in the summertime. Obviously, pending Ryan Garcia getting past Mario Barrios. Devin Haney versus Keyshawn Davis, and I believe a third fight on the card might have been Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero. And I think the space has been pretty much excited about that. I'm excited about that. If that is exactly what they plan on doing, I mean, who's not excited to hear about a card like that? But how can we get that far? Obviously, Ryan Garcia once again put in a position to where the bag is on the line for him. This fight right here, a very significant fight for him, holds a lot of weight. It'll be his first actual title that he'll be holding in his professional boxing career if he's able to pull this off. A lot of questions going into this one. We've been talking about it for weeks, maybe months now, about Ryan Garcia and where is he at right now. He's constantly changing trainers. This time around, back with his father, Henry Garcia. Was that move going to pan out and pay dividends in the end, or is that just another, is Henry Garcia another enabler, right? Is he a trainer? Is he there just a mitt holder, or is he there actually training and helping Ryan Garcia get past his shortcomings, right? Become a better fighter? Because I think there's arguments out there as far as who is Ryan Garcia as far as the boxer is concerned. We all know he brings his brand with him. He has a huge following. We know what that means for the right dance partner. Ryan Garcia brings that other half of the conversation, which is eyes on the sport, right? That's what he does. He brings eyes on the sport, and that's what you're looking to take advantage of if you get in the ring with Ryan Garcia. But this one right here might be the end-all, be-all for him. He coming off of a loss here against Rolly Romero, a fight that a lot of people thought he should probably rematch. He's not taking that route. He's going another route. He's blessed again to be in the now acknowledged by the WBC sanctioning body to get an opportunity against Mario Barrios to try to pick up a title. We'll see how that ends up turning out for him. Also on the undercard, a lot of great fights on that undercard. I mean, we got Richardson Hitchins looking to defend his IBF title against Oscar Duarte, a big puncher. Duarte's been in there with the Ryan Garcias before. He's been in there with the Kenny Sims out of Chicago before. And listen, he's been getting better, obviously, coming in with that Robert Garcia support. And we know what Robert Garcia has been able to do in this game. So we'll see what Richardson Hitchins is able to do with this one. If you have questions about that Gustavo Lemos Richardson Hitchins fight, this one right here might really answer all the questions if Hitchins is able to pull off a masterclass here. He's got a nutritionist now. So no longer is the weight cut supposed to be an issue, or the rehydration clause more specifically supposed to be an issue. So, you know, we'll see how he does as well. All of these fights we'll talk about. Gary Antoine Russell versus Andy Hiroko. We all asking for Gary Antoine Russell to be a way more active fighter. This one right here is anticipated. He's the WBA champion at 140 pounds. He gets to the fight against a mandatory Andy Hiroko, an unknown fighter here, really stateside. If you're a hardcore fan, you know who Handy is, but if you don't, you might have questions about who this guy is. I can give you guys a heads up right now. He rumbles. He gets it in. He's not an easy fight at all, but Gary Antoine Russell, high-level fighter. We're expecting him to pull that one out, but this is going to be a competitive fight for him as well, and at some point or another, will the inactivity get in Gary's way? Last time we saw Gary with a long bit of inactivity may have been when he got in the ring with Alberto Puello. We know he came up short in that fight, but he patched things up. Him and his brother, Gary Russell Jr., worked on that, got that together. Gary, you know, we'll see what he looks like on Saturday night. And we got a bunch of other cards as well. Frank Martin showing how much he wants to be active, getting ready to get in the ring with Nahir Albright Wu. We know Wu, last time we saw him in the ring against Keyshawn Davis's brother, not Keon, but Kelvin Davis. We saw he was able to get what some people might consider an upset victory over Kelvin Davis. And we don't need to talk about how the rest of that night went. But we saw Nahir Albright. Nahir Albright had a great fight with Keyshawn Davis a few years ago. A lot of people thought he might have won that fight, a close split decision that went Keyshawn Davis's way. But we know Nahir Albright is the goods. We know he comes from a pretty damn good pedigree. But Frank Martin trying to come back and make statements. He made his 140-pound debut a few months ago against Rancis Barthélemy, knockout of the year candidate. He wants to get back in the game. He wants to get back into title contention. And this fight right here, another stepping stone potentially for Frank Martin to get closer to that as well. And we got a bunch of other fights on the card as well. That should be a great card, to be honest with you, man. I'm really looking forward to that card. Shout out to everybody who's in the building right now, man. Flexing and stepping in the building with the Let's Get It, Clay. What's good with you, family? Hope everything's good. Kalia World, what's good, Queen? What's good, Queen? My guy, Eastside Easy Grassroots in the building says, my boy Clay back with the top tier boxing talk. Tuned in at work. Salute, champ. Salute to you, fam. Agent 0777 in the building. Salute to you. Chris Legg in the building. Salute, Chris. Me and Chris be talking on the gram, man. We be talking shit on the gram, man. That's my guy, man. Sam from Jersey in the building, man. Big time supporter of the channel, man. I love to see Sam in the building. Says, let's get it. Clay, more rain. No doubt, man. Chris Legg, his exact card would be so dope. I hope Asta Ryan loses to Barrios. I'm split with that one, Chris. Parts of me want to see Ryan lose, but do I want to see him lose now, or do I want to see the big fight with him and Devin Haney? And is that fight even in the horizons? Now Devin Haney kind of changing his tune up just a little bit. He wants Ryan to be on a strict VADA program. He wants him in that program for a certain period of time. Am I faulting Devin Haney for wanting that? No, but at the same time, I don't know, right? I'm not there. I just hope they both can get on the same page. I'll say it like that. I would like them both to get on the same page and for us to see that fight come together, right? That'd be great to see that come together. But, you know, first things first, let's see what he does with Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios, I think, is coming in here a very gamed opponent. People kind of sleeping on Mario a little bit because of these draws. Listen, man, pause, because him going on these draws. At the end of the day, Mario Barrios has also made some adjustments to his camp. I'm really interested in seeing what Joe Goossen's able to put together with him. Mario Barrios is just like a balanced fighter, right? He doesn't do any one thing special. He has grit. He's got a decent jab. He's got decent reach. He has experience. He's been in there with the higher level boxers. I would say that his resume, in my opinion, is better than Ryan Garcia's resume as far as not only what he's been able to accomplish as far as in victories, but even the fights that he's been in, that he's taken a loss with, whether it's a Gervonta Tank Davis, whether it's a Keith Thurman, still that experience I think is going to translate into something that's going to make a difference in this fight. Ryan Garcia, how much has he improved over the years? How much there was conversations and arguments, as far as I'm concerned, about whether or not he's digressed since his better moments, which I think would have been around that Luke Campbell and before, pre-Luke Campbell area, where we saw all that promise in Ryan Garcia. This time around, since he's returned, we've seen him come in with a California roll, sushi roll, whatever you want to call it. Just poor fundamental tactics that he does in the ring. He's been flying through trainers like it's nothing, whether he's going with Derek James or he's Joe Goossen. He's coming back to Derek James. Now he's with his father, Henry Garcia. I haven't seen the consistent evolution of Ryan Garcia to be in a positive way. I say it's a reverse of an evolution where he may have digressed a little bit, dare I say. So the question for me going into this fight is Ryan Garcia going to be able to make those improvements in that little bit of a time? Did he lose too much time playing games, and did that work against him? Is he just a little too far behind the ball right now to kind of get it across that line in this fight right here? This fight with the Mario Barrios, who just came out the ring with a Manny Pacquiao. He's been in there with high-level fighters. Yeah, he's been taking it to a draw, but he's been in there with high-level fighters. So give and take, work with that as you see fit, right? Work with that as you fit. Shout out to my brother Ray Davis. He's in the back. He'll be up a little bit later as we're waiting on Dimitri Popov to come up on the show. Flex7 says, what up, Ray? HLD in the building. Salute. HLD, what's good, family? Miss Van Houder. Salute, Miss Van. How you doing, man? Tell Mozzie I said, what's up, man? Another Zuffa fighter. You know what I'm saying? We're really trying to support that platform and what they're doing with those fighters over there. Yeah, man, we're trying to see that platform do great things, man. Agent 0007 in the building says, I'm here for the Zuffa talk. Are you, Agent? Okay. All right. Well, we'll be talking about Zuffa. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man. What else is going on here? Albert Gutierrez in here since I think Barrios beats him. Better corner and can make adjustments. Hey, man, I think so, man. Sam Jersey says, great talking while I'm at work. Love. J-Mac 1444 in the building. Salute. Sean Moody in the building says, hey, ran back again from Sunday's festivities of Zuffa. Barrios with an easy win over Garcia, no doubt. And I think we do got the special guest in the back. I do see him. He is in the building. Let's go ahead and bring him up right now. Hold on one second here. Let me get everything set up. You guys know how I like to carry you here. Shout out to Dimitri Popov in the building. Oh, it's a pleasure, man. How you doing today, Dimitri?
Doing good, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm so excited to have you on the show today, to be honest with you, because we've been all tapped into this Zuffa conversation following obviously the events. 3 events deep into their what 3, right? Or was this the 4th one? It was the 3rd one, right?
The third one here
on Sunday. Yep. And they just keep getting better, right? More knockouts, a lot of good matchmaking going on, as good as you can get it, but good exciting fights. But obviously the space has been up and down with this whole Zuffa conversation. Some people are for it, some people against it, amidst a lot of other things going on in the space as well. We're watching Mauricio Suleiman kind of make his stance, and we're seeing how that's working out with the sanctioning bodies. We're seeing just it's just so much going on. It's such a messy situation. But this will be the first time that I think my community has had somebody really on the ground on the business side of this conversation to give us some real clarity on what's really going on. We've heard from the fighters. They seem to be happy. They could, Julian Rodriguez couldn't be happier. We had Mozzie Van Houter on here. Couldn't be happier. You know what I'm saying? We've had Robert Merriweather, Robert Merriweather, couldn't be happier, but still a lot of questions. So first of all, I'm going to ask you if you want to introduce yourself to the space and just kind of put us on to who you are and how long you've been doing what you've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me well?
Oh yeah, you're clear. Crystal clear.
Great. So yeah, so Dimitri Popov, I've actually, I wear a lot of hats. I own like 4 or 5 different companies, or manage 4 or 5 different companies and different things. Software is the main one, and then in sports as manager, as agent, youth sports, family advisor, professional sports, different sports, not just combat sports, but also ice hockey, basketball, different things really. And I'd say, I've been, in terms of combat sports, first probably an MMA fan, even before I was a boxing fan, back in the days of Pride Fighting Championship and Fedor Emelianenko and UFC 1, 2, 3, early days of all of that stuff. I actually got a chance to be involved a little bit with, in the background with Fedor, who was the heavyweight champion, undefeated at the time with Pride, and UFC really wanted to bring him back. That never worked out. But and then as of late, maybe about a year and a half ago, through some common contacts, really got involved through Julian Hammerhands Rodriguez into the wonderful sport of boxing, and it's been fast and furious ever since.
No doubt. So that's interesting though. So you're coming from so many a lot of sports, obviously, at the end of the day. And shout out to Fedor, because I do remember Fedor. I'm an MMA fan too, and I remember Fedor over there at Pride, and I remember that whole entire situation with Fedor. They're trying to figure out how to get Fedor over to the UFC, but he ended up doing a lot of, was it Bellator? I think he ended up being over there for a bit, right? And never kind of was able to get over there. We never saw some of those fights that we wanted to see, but we saw a lot of great fights from Fedor. So I know that had to be very stoic, man. Fedor has always been, you know what I mean? Great fighter. But interestingly enough, when you talk about the MMA background, so you've always kind of had I don't want to say relationship, but you was always aware of who Dana White was and how he did business, his business practices, and kind of like, how was that? I don't know if it was me, but I always felt like there was a little bit of a line, a little bit of a fence between Fedor and Dana. I'm not too sure, but how did you kind of see Dana White the whole time with the MMA going into this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I've been aware of Dana, obviously, from the very first moments that Dana got involved with the UFC and the first UFC that he ran at the time. So closely followed all of that through those years as a fan, and a little bit as in the background as well. And it's been really, I mean, everybody knows the story, right? It's tremendous what he's done on the UFC side of things, where he took basically a promotion that was worth less than $2 million at the time, and now is a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate and international success. So unbelievable what he's done. So when I heard that he was going to get involved in boxing, I was really pumped about it.
Right. I'm sure excited, to say the least. And when you heard about it, you were already dealing with Julian, right? You're already moving Julian in the traditional sense on what boxing is outside of Zuffa, right?
Yeah, well, the everything with I think that the first time that Dana and Turkey Al-Sheikh probably talked about Dana starting a boxing promotion in the U.S. was like at least 2-3 years ago. I think when they first had some conversations,
Hmm.
but then it took a while until they thought like this is the right moment. We're going to get it started, and that really happened. I think March of last year.
Okay, okay, okay. Now, as far as Julian Rodriguez is concerned, how does that a union happen? Where do you meet him at? Where do you guys begin working with each other at?
Yeah, so one of the coaches that Julian, one of his trainers, Beknazar Toychuev, he's a guy from Kyrgyzstan originally, lives in Philadelphia, lived in New Jersey at the time. And I know back through some of the other sports, he's helped train me, hockey players and other things. And so Beck is actually himself a very successful boxer back in Russia, back in
Mhm.
the day, and he when he came over to the United States several years back, I think maybe about a year ago or so, a year and a half ago, um, Julian and some of Julian's friends at the time, they were looking for a trainer that can work with him on a weekly basis.
Mhm.
And they saw that, hey, there's this guy that has done stuff with some big names over in Russia, with Bevo and other guys, and he is living right here, next door. And so I think that, at the time Julian reached out to Beck and they connected and started training together. And then maybe a few months after that connection, Beck reached out to me and said, hey, I'm working with this guy, Julian, really, really solid boxer, great potential. He's had some management issues in the past. He's looking for management. I know you do this stuff. Let's have a meeting and see if something can work out. And here we are.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Now, when you got with Julian, what was the understanding as far as what was Julian looking to get out of the new relationship, the new partnership that you guys had, and your ability to facilitate that? What was the big thing on Julian Rodriguez's mind? I mean, that was a priority thing that you knew you had to focus on with him.
Yeah. Well, I think Julian was really, he's a little bit. I talk about that movie Cinderella Man with that was based off of James Braddock and also a guy from Bergen County where Julian is from. So it was I kind of say Julian is like the Cinderella Man of today's century and time, because it was some of those same moments. Like he started off as he was the number one ranked guy. From the time he was 9 years old in the country, he was an alternate to the Olympics. He fought and beat up on a lot of big names that are now multi-millionaires and pros like Tank and others in his amateur years when he was 16, 17 years old, became pro at 18 years old, signed with Top Rank, and was extremely successful. And then after that, there was obviously this initial kind of raise, and then there was a fall and a drop down in his career. He's had several injuries that took him away from the sport for a year and a half, and then he had some management issues at Top Rank. And so he's what he was looking to do is, after his loss to Pedraza for about 3 or 4 years, he was not active in the sport. He would do like one fight a year type deal. It's smaller fights, 6 rounders, 8 rounders against guys that really weren't at his level. And when he met me and Beck, and he was putting together a team around him, is he wanted to go back to achieving the potential that he has.
Right. Definitely. So, moving with Julian, because I remember seeing Julian again in that Avius Griffin fight, right, on Pro Box, and that fight was an epic fight. Julian gets a stoppage in that fight. During that fight, were you guys already aware of what the next step was going to be? Was there was already an understanding, like, okay, we're doing this and we're going to be making a move from here in the direction of Azupa boxing, or were you kind of in the air still about what the next move was going to be?
No, we knew. I plan all my moves like years in advance, and then obviously you have to adjust sometimes. But when I first met Julian, before we signed our papers as managers, it was and I should say, by the way, there's two of us. There's a co-manager of my own, Steve Bucharnes, who's a really interesting cat. He was professional football player, played for the New England Patriots after a successful D1 football career in Rutgers. And Steve and I do different things on the management team, but anyways, he's a very core part of the team. But when going back to what I was saying, when I met Julian initially, it was like a very small C-level promotion somewhere in Atlantic City, and I was there, you know, just kind of watching him fight for the first time. And he won, I think it was against Kushan Toller. He won an 8-round unanimous decision fight. So when we signed our papers, you know, we knew that the number one thing is to get him back with an A-level promotion where he can fight 3 times a year, and everything great stems from that. So that was the plan. So I got on the email and the phone with everybody. I reached out to Matchroom. I reached out to MVP, Jake Paul's promotion. I reached out to every Top Rank, everybody. And you know, after a few months, right, there were some opportunities. You know, Top Rank had some actually potential very interesting fights with some names that are now becoming very popular. And I could even say at the time there, you know, Tiger Johnson versus Julian Rodriguez could have been one fight that could have happened a little bit earlier. And that's still one fight that maybe, depending on how promotions work out, could be an interesting fight at welterweight. But anyway, so we were talking, we had some opportunities with Top Rank, with some other places. And eventually what we settled is we had a very good opportunity that we liked with the ABS Griffin fight with Most Valuable Promotions. We had at the time already in March of last year kind of signed a preliminary contract with Zuffa Boxing, but they knew they were not going to start until maybe a full year later. So sometime at the end of 2024, end of 2025, beginning of this year. And so they wanted Julian to be active, and they were cool with him going out and doing other fights. And that's why they allowed us to kind of go out and do the MVP fight. We actually did the MVP fight against Avius. We had an option. They exercised the option. If we were to win, you know, they could do one more fight. So that was also talked about, but always in the back of our mind since March, we knew that we were going to end up with Zuffa Boxing.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, you know, you reached out to all these different companies. You mentioned the Top Ranks, the Matchrooms, the MVPs, but you know, what about Zuffa stood out, do you think, for yourself when you kind of thought about what you were trying to do with Julian?
There's no comparison whatsoever. I mean, this is, you know, when you talk about Zuffa Boxing, right, and you think of who are the people involved and what success they've had in the sports. None of the guys, right? None of the guys that are, you know, whether it's Eddie Hearn or Oscar De La Hoya or any of these guys, have been able to do or accomplish what several people associated with Zuffa, not just Dana White, but Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, have been able to do. In terms of just looking at like even the size of the whole thing, I mean, TKO, right, Holdings, which is the parent company of Zuffa Boxing, WWE, UFC, and a bunch of other things, it's like a $16 billion market capitalization. It's listed on the stock market. It's right. $3 billion revenue a year. To give you an example, if you were to take Matchroom, which is 135 million revenue a year, add it to PBC, which is I think 95 million a year, and Golden Boy, which is 70 million. Add them all together, right? They still are like, right, whatever, less than 15% of the revenue of TKO. And so, so that in itself, right, knowing you have a combination of resources, of reach, together with known operators that have operated at the highest levels of the sport beyond anything that's there. I didn't care that it was a startup, right? That Zuffa is going to be a startup and it's going to start at the Apex and it's only going to have this and that fighter. I knew how quickly they would move, and we'll see, as Dana says, we'll see where they are at the end of 2026, and we'll talk then more, right?
Definitely. No, I'm right there with you, man. And I think you just can't help but acknowledge a tried true record like Dana, right? Like you can have your personal gripes about rumors and, you know, they try to say lawsuit here and, you know, all these different things, but there is a certain track record of success that it makes complete sense why Paramount would want to align themselves with what they're doing over there at the UFC and give them what the biggest combat deal in history, right? $7.7 billion for the UFC and whatever, you know, deal they worked out with Zuffa Boxing. So I think that is you know, that's easy to kind of figure out. And plus you have that background in the MMA scene working with Fedor. So you were already aware of the track record. You watch Dana start like from the beginning and go all the way up the top, and I think that's a good bet that you put on there. Let me ask you this though, in the traditional sense of boxing, as far as the way boxers were developed, where you're coming from with Julian and this system right here with Zuffa and how they plan on moving forward, is it like, if you had to name like one or two key differences that make the biggest difference that you think as far as the development of the fighter that's going to make a difference for Julian Rodriguez, what one or two things you think you would really put your finger on and say it's a big difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is really is the activity and the platform are probably the two biggest things. And let's talk about, and listen, we can address also some of the criticisms of Dana and the UFC world and a lot of the stuff that's happening that I'm reading through on the boxing side from a lot of the journalists and the fans, honestly, that are not on the inside, kind of guessing at things. But
Sure.
it's very easily addressed, all these things, right? And we can tackle them.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, right, I mean, everybody in boxing is, right, there's like 100,000 professional boxers in the United States, and like 500 of them don't make a working living wage. All right.
Nope.
Everybody's focused on the 200-300 boxers or whatever that actually have enough money generated from the sport that they don't need to, have a full-time job outside of boxing. Everybody's looking at Canelo's millions, Terence Crawford's millions. Dude, there's like how many of those people are there, right? So you have all of this stuff, but nobody is looking at what about, and you're not even talking about like, what about the number 1,000 guy or the number 5,000 or 10,000 guy? You're looking at guys like, honestly, like Julian, like Tiger Johnson, like other guys like that are ranked in the top 10 in their class in the world, right? Which is the elite of the elite. And, and also in a lot of their years, they haven't had a chance to be able to get 2 or 3 fights, a year, or make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? That's just the reality of boxing today. It's very sad. And that's why also boxing has been like, if you look in the 50s and the 60s, boxing was the number 3rd or 4th sport, more widely watched than the NFL, more widely watched than hockey or any of the other stuff. And now it's like number 14, 15. It's become almost irrelevant and niche based on all the fragmentation that you've had with traditional boxing and the way they've managed things. So going back to the original question, you have a platform here that can take, in a way, democratize boxing and take these people that are not the top 20 pound for pound best guys in the world right now, or at least perceived or known to be, and offer hundreds of additional fighters activity as to 2 or 3 fights a year and the finances and stability that come with that.
Right. Yeah. And, there's always been a chaotic part of boxing that I think we've all been desensitized to, or we don't even acknowledge it anymore. There's a chaos in boxing. And some people want to say that through the chaos, it allows fighters to, shop deals and get bigger deals. But like you said, and I don't think people realize it, a small percentage of people are able to capitalize off of the chaos, whereas a large percentage can't get their just due, because the merit system doesn't necessarily hold as much weight as it should. Fighters who've earned their way into these opportunities don't find themselves in those opportunities because of the politics of the sport. Would you say that the chaotic space that boxing has been in until this new structure looks like it's coming in, do you think that chaotic space has been a reason as to why we're not seeing the biggest fights in the world, why we're not seeing the best fight the best? Is it been too politicized, too artificially flavored? Maybe that's a word to describe it, as far as who really is the talent in the sport in comparison to what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think before Turkey got involved with the sport, you didn't have the best fight the best for 20 years. And that was a huge problem. And because of all this decentralization, you had 4 different sanctioning bodies that each had a different ranking. And then you had, the different promotions. They would never want their champion to cross promote and go fight somebody else's champion. So that was kind of the situation. Back then, Turkey comes into the sport and he starts writing checks. And he's like, I want your champion to fight your champion, and I'll make the difference in money to both of them and to the promotions for that to happen. And so we have seen the biggest fights over the last 3 or 4 years thanks to that. But what we haven't seen still, and that's kind of the next part of how does boxing become great, is how do these people that are like not already in the top 1 or 2 of each weight category are not multi-millionaire superstars, how do they get a chance to fight one of the top 1 or 2 ranked guys? How does that happen, right? Because right now it's almost impossible, right? That's the difficulty is it's so difficult for people who belong, who should be the ones getting in with the Teofimos and with the Devin Haneys and Shakur Stevensons. They can't get a break. It's very difficult to do. And there's 2 reasons for them, right? You know, if you were to go to, let's say, a Teofimo Lopez and you said, hey, Teo, you just fought for 10 million against Shakur. Why don't you fight against Tiger Johnson? Why don't you fight against Julian Rodriguez? First of all, it will be like, well, those names are at this time, and they don't have the platform. They're not big enough to justify this amount of money, right? So then Teo gets offered maybe 5 million or 4 million to fight them. Which is half of what he would make fighting a name that is as big as his or bigger. Number one. Number two, he then takes a huge risk because these guys could actually beat him for half the money, and then he's gone. And so, like, when you're in that situation, how do you break through that glass ceiling that exists? And that's been the problem. And Zuffa's breaking straight through with a sledgehammer, because you'll see what they're going to do is they're going to have the best guys fight the best guys that they can get. They're going to sign some stars coming in. They've already signed Jay, who's a world champion ring in IBF. They're going to sign other guys. And number one, they're going to fight the best of the best in their group. And it's going to be a mix of recognized names and names that people maybe don't know as much, but that should be in the mix. And then when they start naming their Zuffa boxing champions, those guys are going to get called up to Riyadh season to ring, and they're going to get a chance to fight the top names that you and all the fans know in the world, and see. That's the moment where you're going to get to see is like, hey, is this really like the B leagues, or is this a serious league that belongs with all of the big names that we know? That's how they break through that glass ceiling, and that's what's coming.
No, I definitely see that, and if you guys, if you follow my show at all from time to time, you hear I talk about the development, which is what I'm excited about, right? There's a system there that Dana White has created with that performance institution, with the recovery, with the nutrition, and then you combine that with the activity. I just believe that system is going to start to produce a more elite athlete fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I say athlete / fighter because we've seen a lot of fighters in the game, but the athlete part of the conversation hasn't been honed in, hasn't been developed, right? It hasn't been fed. It hasn't been pushed up to the way that I see Dana's doing it with the UFC. I mean, the first thing that you hear these fighters talking about when they come up here, at least, is, man, the recovery, the places that most hot, you know what I mean, the cold plunges, the oxygen, whatever you call it, hyperbolic chamber, whatever you call these different names, and you know how significant that these fighters hold this at the highest level. They're not talking about the money as much, right? Even though they're consistently getting paid, they're just more impressed with, man, I'm going to get better as an athlete here. I can see me getting way better just off the fact that I'm going to be healthier. I was talking to Robert Merriweather, who said he's never eaten a carb before on his fight week, right? He didn't know how to deal with the nutrition. He would just go straight protein because he was scared of not making weight. Now they're like, bro, I can't believe they're giving us pre-made meals made towards our macros to what we need in order to be ready for the fight. The whole system just seems way more advanced, and it seems like there's an evolution in the sport happening because of that. Is Julian the only fighter that you're working with right now, managing? Is he your sole focus right now, or are you also working with any other fighters?
No, I'm in the mix with some other guys, but more behind the scenes, as well as signing some new guys, and we can talk about that as well a little bit. But Julian's my main focus right now on the boxing sport side of things.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
I was going to comment on something that you said that's interesting. I don't think it's just like an evolution of the sport. It's really a revolution of the sport. It's and we love revolutions, right? When the United States, overthrew the British and wasn't a colony anymore, we loved all of that. And like, oh, look at where the United States is now. But when it's like, oh, we're going to go against the tradition of 150 years of boxing, oh, suddenly it's a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. It's progress, brother. It's all about progress. And again, if anything makes this sport better, the athletes in it better, it's an amazing thing. The reality of this is, again, I work with athletes that are professionals. I see guys in ice hockey, in basketball, and these guys are leap and bounds. Forget about the money, leaps and bounds ahead when it comes to nutrition preparation, the types of gyms and experts they have access to, the way they use Whoop and other type of, Apple Watch and other types of things where they can measure data on what their recovery is, their stress rate, their sleep rate, all of this stuff as they're wearing these bands like I am, right? And they can see how they're doing. And so you see this in all these other sports, and in boxing, it's like people are like dehydrated, drinking water, tap water. They don't know what to eat, how to do these things. Some of the strength and conditioning they're working with are like guys that, are using methods from like the 1970s and the 1980s. And there's no reason for that. And so what Dana's doing, right, because of his experience with the UFC and everything, is he's bringing the best guys at the cutting edge of sports, period, not just combat sports, who are now available to guys like Julian and others at Zuffa. And a big part of that is like, is the investment in it. Like, you cannot have something like the Performance Institute, the nutrition that comes with it, the recovery guys, the massage therapist guys, the strength and conditioning coaches, all of the equipment and stuff, if you're doing what the traditional boxing bodies and promotions would do, which is, right, we just run something that was $20 million. Here's the payment to the fighters. Here's the payments to me. Nothing, not single dollar to reinvest in the next event. Great. Right. You can't run a business. Yeah, I guess you can run a business like that, right? If you're throwing something, but it's not something that's going to evolve the sport, revolutionize the sport, and get you back to that next level. And so you need to be able to make that money and be willing to reinvest it into the sport, to build things like the Performance Institute and bring in the right trainers and coaches and work with these athletes to get them to their potential. Because when you see these guys walking around right now, and a lot of them are tremendous boxers, I'm telling you, some of these guys are walking around. They've never had an opportunity in terms of the nutrition, in terms of the training, in terms of everything like they have now. They're in with Zuffa for like 6 months, and suddenly it's like 30% better. You thought that was this thing. No. You can be 30% better than, and now you're like 30% better. That's like the #1 ranked guy in the world suddenly. Yeah, it's not magic. And that's what Zuffa brings to the table.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be one of the intangibles that people are going to see once it gets to that level that we were talking about earlier, as far as going to Ring Magazine, right? Going on a Riyadh card, on a Ring or Riyadh card, whatever it is, and being able to compete now, the Zuffa fighter, the best of the best, who's earned his way by getting a what do they call it, a rites of passage, by going through the levels and going through the best fighters that they have to offer, and now get to this platform. I think you're going to see that athlete, just the level, the cardio, the stamina, the conditioning, the strength, the punch resistance, and yes, the skill level will move forward because of the activity. When you're fighting 3-4 times a year, maybe even 5 times a year, you're sharpening that sword, right? You're sharpening your weapons. You're becoming a sharper fighter than somebody who may have been meticulously moved, you know what I mean, with the perfect matchmaking to build him up to where he needs to be, fighting twice a year, you know what I'm saying, once, twice a year. Once they get to that big stage, you start to see it. And I'm going to be honest with you, Dimitri Popov, you're like, where are you from originally? Like, you have like an Eastern European
Bulgaria background? Originally, from Eastern Europe. Both my parents are from Eastern Europe, from Sofia, Bulgaria. The name sounds Russian. It's actually, I had to change it a little bit when I came to this country 30 years ago and went to college, because the original one is a little bit harder to pronounce. So there were lots of Russians around at the time. So Dimitri was very easy. And so it became Dimitri. But yeah, but lived, most of my life in the United States.
Yeah. The Eastern European boxing program has started to, I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, has become very prominent in the space. When you think about the Eastern Europeans, of the Alexander Usyk, who right now is who's arguably the pound for pound best fighter in the world outside of Terence Crawford, who just retired, right? When you think about Vasily Lomachenko, right? When you think about a lot of these other fights, we just saw Bakram Murzalia take a loss. But I think inactivity, another person who I think has suffered through the politics of the sport, not being able to be as active as he should be, I think that played out in the negative way for him against Josh Kelly. But a lot of Eastern Europeans, Serhii Bohachuk, right, and all these other Eastern Europeans, that activity from that amateur program that they have over there, or whatever you want to call it, when they're fighting like 300 fights. You look at Israel Madrimov had like 300 amateur fights. You see the difference in those fighters just fundamentally, just off the activity. So I think that's going to translate into something great for the Zuffa fighters, for Julian Rodriguez and all those guys over there, especially the young guys, right? The young guys are really starting off on the right foot. Jalil Hackett and all those guys. Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you some questions now from the pushback, right? The space has pushback and they have questions about Zuffa. You know, everybody thinks they know what's going on, right? So the big elephant in the room is the Muhammad Ali Act, right? That's the big elephant in the room. Dana, you know, lobbies with his team and gets an amendment put on the Muhammad Ali Act. And I think there's some confusion potentially. Maybe there isn't no confusion. You'll let me know. But there's an understanding of a change that's been made to the Ali Act, which has changed it. And Dana says it's an amendment. It's in addition to, nothing's been changed. What is your understanding of what's going on with the Ali Act?
Well, I don't think it's either an amendment or a change, because an amendment and a change in terms of if you're like taking something away from something existing and making it something different. I would call it an enhancement because it's adding something new on top of what's already there. And it's making it, in my view, better, but it's not taking any brick from that building. You know what I mean? Any parts of the wall of or the construction of the original Ali Act. So it's enabling them to do what they want to do, not just for Zuffa, but for any kind of independent type of UBO or structure organization, kind of like what they are, to where they can, you know, run their thing and be able to do it like they're proposing to do. So it's not. I see it as a positive change that enables Zuffa to do what they want to do, but also if other organizations want to follow in that footsteps, and those footsteps will revolutionize boxing and be a positive change to the boxing compared to the issues we've talked about, that's the right way to do it. And that's why you have so many supporters of the act. I think it passed with through the House of Commons already with a strong vote. I think they still need to vote for it in the Senate, but you know, and then the president needs to sign it. But I don't see how that doesn't happen in the next few months, maybe even sooner.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. I'm hearing it's pretty much a sealed deal. Pretty much everybody seems to be for it. You know, as a manager, you consider yourself exclusively a manager, or are you a manager / promoter? I put promoter / manager in the description because I wasn't too sure. But like, are you what would you describe your job?
No, I'm on the management side. I'm on the management side.
Perfect. So that being said, everybody's worried about the fighters being taken advantage of. You know what I mean? You guys aren't being protected. The Ali Act is being changed. It's the only thing that protected the fighters. Now that the Ali Act has been enhanced, as you said, people believe that the fighters are subjecting themselves or making themselves, you know, vulnerable to being taken advantage of. But here you are as a manager, who I believe your job would be to make sure that doesn't happen to a Julian Rodriguez. Your job is to read over the contracts, make sure everything is on point, and that your fighter's getting the best deal he can get. When you hear those type of comments being spoken about, do you have any response to that as far as the fighters being taken advantage of because of the enhancement?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's discuss kind of things before Zuffa came into this world and the enhancement. The biggest reason why fighters were being taken advantage of in the sport of boxing was the way that things were set up in terms of the promotion, some of the management that was involved. Like, you're going back to the mob days, and some of the really shady characters that were also managers that were double dipping. They were promoter managers, and they're taking 50, 60, 70% of a purse before the purse is announced by having a direct deal with the actual promotion. And then on top of that, they're taking another 30% cut from the fighter. And you think that was long gone? That shit happens all the time today, despite the Muhammad Ali Act, all the time. I looked at, you know, again, I looked since about a year and a half that I've had a chance to be around all these promotions and look at the different type of characters that are around this. Some big names too, that represent big names. Shady stuff. There's dishonest managers, are more common than honest managers. There's a lot of lazy people that don't want to work for their fighters. There's a lot of incompetent people. And this is what the status quo is, that the fans are worried about, that they think the fighters are being protected. No. So what happens? First of all, Zuffa, by the fact that it's a part of a Fortune 1000 company in TKO, and the fact that it has to be squeaky clean when it comes to dealings, accounting dealings, the way that the contracts are prepared, all of that stuff, does actually, the way that their structure is made, prevents shady managers that exist in boxing from being able to screw their boxers or do things like are done with many other promotions, where it's wide open with the existing Muhammad Ali Act and with organizations that don't have those accounting practices. As an example, in most promotions today, you could technically, let's say the promotion needs to ship over a purse of $1 million, which is contract with the fighter. They could send that $1 million to a bank account that the fighter doesn't have visibility to, or is a minor part, or is even the manager's account or the lawyer's account or somebody else's. And then they don't have full visibility of what's going on in that account. And then you're sending something from that account to the fighter. With TKO Holdings, because they're basically on the stock market and because of their corporate accounting white collar practices, that is not allowed to happen. The only money that can be sent from TKO to a fighter has to be going to an account that is 100% owned by the boxer. Everything is in the light. It's not in the shade, right? But people don't understand that because they don't have the inside view. So they're just talking about, oh, this fighter's getting screwed, that fighter's getting screwed. Brother, it's the exact opposite of what's going on with the sport right now and where these guys are taking it. Because, again, it's moving away from the shady corners and the mob and all this bullshit to where, yeah, you might, not like the monopolies, the cartels, you call them whatever, right? Which is the big corporate America companies. But there's something to be said about that. That's how those leagues are run. And that's where you choose to spend your Sundays, right? Watching the National Football League, which is a league, and corporations, right? Watching hockey, watching baseball. There's a reason for that. And the way that those companies are run, the practices, the insurances, everything, the way they protect the fighter are the right ways to do it. Because if you don't, there's a lot of lawsuits that can happen, right? And you know exactly where those guys live.
It's kind of like I'm going to compare it a little bit to crypto a little bit, right? Crypto was kind of like unregulated for a long time, and people were like, you're so unprotected in it. But as soon as it became regulated and it fell under some jurisdiction to be regulated, you saw it boom very quickly. A lot of big banks and big investors started to jump into it because they knew now it was going to be properly policed, right? Like, we're going to be watching everything, and now it has to be done straight. So it's funny to me, bringing it full circle to where, the Ali Act was there as a symbol of a police, but really wasn't, right? Because what I'm hearing is there was always a lot of loopholes and ways to get around, and really still left the promoters to still manipulate and touch and hide important things from the fighters so that they can make the best decisions for themselves. Whereas here, there's accountability. If you don't move a certain way, as a corporation that's being publicly traded on the NASDAQ, there's a system there that puts them accountable and leaves them liable for things that they do wrong. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not necessarily, look, you can have laws and then you can have execution of those laws. Like, there's countries around the world where if you look at their constitutions or you look at what's on the law, it says you cannot do this. And then everybody does it and nobody goes to jail, right? So it's one thing to have a law. It's another thing to actually enforce the law. And with the Muhammad Ali Act, which, in law was not really enforced in many of its ways. And so it allowed all these shady characters and things to operate in a certain way. I'm not saying that the enhanced Ali Act will improve upon that just by the enhancements it's made. The difference is because, as you said, right, because Zuffa's part of an organization that is so large, that is part of a public company and is traded and has all the oversight, internal, they make sure that things are squeaky clean. Everything is, and nothing's in the shade. Everything's above the table. And they enforce those rules upon themselves, not because of federal government, but because, that's what corporate governance does. That's how they want to do it, right? Do they want to? Zuffa Boxing right now is the smallest company within the umbrella of TKO, right? UFC is bigger, WWE is bigger, all these other things are bigger. Maybe someday Zuffa will surpass them all, hopefully. But right now, they're just a startup that, started January 23rd. But does TKO the $16 billion capitalization company want to risk a lawsuit because of a Zuffa boxer and how something was done that could then result in hundreds of millions of dollars lawsuits, right? They will make sure with their lawyers, with their people, that with their accountants, that everything is squeaky clean. And again, different from how boxing has been and still is in many of the other promotions.
That makes complete sense. So let me ask you this. As far as, I don't want to get too much into Julian's contract, but as much as you can communicate, as far as the length of the contract, is it a certain amount of fights? Is it a certain amount of years? And, you know, in other words, a lot of people, I'll get right to it and just say, a lot of people feel like once these fighters get under these Zuffa contracts that they're trapped. You're in the Zuffa universe and you can't get outside of Zuffa at that point. You have no ability to compete outside with the other fighters in the world that are the best fighters in the world. How do you approach that, and how do you kind of see or respond to I guess a criticism of the way Zuffa is set up, being that it's an island almost? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things going on in there with those criticisms. But, you know, on one hand, I want to be active and I want to have 3 fights a year and I want to be behind, right? Have a promotion that's making sure I get all the training and the fights and everything. On the other hand, I don't want to be exclusive with that promotion. So I want to have my pie and I want to eat it too, right? When does that happen? So the first thing that I would say is that, yes, you know, they are longer duration contracts. But there's ways to improve those contracts. Even as an example, right? The initial stuff, Julian's mentioned that the initial like numbers that we signed with Julian back in March of last year versus after the Avius win and the rediscussions that occurred when we were actually closer to getting like the bout agreement for Kane, I was able to negotiate those substantially up from where they were, even though they could have just told us, screw you, you signed a multi-year deal. You have this here. We don't care about you. We're the bad guys. We have you now. Right. And they didn't do that. And credit to them. They didn't do it. They said, you know what? Julian's been moving really great. He has a very meaningful win. He, you know, we have more information about what our plans are now in December than we did in March. And yeah, they were open to renegotiating even before he stepped in for the first time and fought for them. So that's to begin with, right? And you know that will happen down the road when you have a meaningful win. Or again, you have these numbers on the overall contracts of what you do, but then every bout contract that is a part of that, right? You have a 3-fight or three-year 3-fight deal, and then you actually come to, hey, our next fight is in May, and let's look who the opponent is. Let's look at what they're offering. And the numbers that you have in your overall contract are minimum numbers, meaning that they can go below them, but you can go above them. And if you're fighting somebody that's really good, or you've just gained a lot more traction and popularity, the manager now steps in and is like, hey, I think we should move these numbers up by this much. And then it's a discussion. So number one, again, you're not locked into any slave contract or any of that bullshit that's being discussed. Number two, as far as like, you're locked on an island, you can't go anywhere. We just talked about it, right? From the very beginning, they've said, you guys will be able to come in and fight for the Zuffa belt. And if you guys get to a point where you're ranked as highly, or you get the belt, ring and Riyadh season, and Turkey calls you and you go and fight the WBC champion, the Matchroom champion, the other promotion, other belt, we will let you go and do that. In fact, we will encourage that. And we'll never get in the way of, oh, you're on a Zuffa contract, so you cannot go fight somewhere, go fight for a ring or fight for a Riyadh season. From the very beginning, it's been that way. They've always had that. And that's why Jay coming in and saying, I want to be the undisputed, and I have the ring belt and the IBF belt, but I want to have all these other belts. I want to fight Zurdo, and I want to fight all these other guys. Like, how does that happen? There is a path to make it happen. And they saw that as part of the Zuffa contract, that there is a direct path to make that happen. So no, you're not locked on an island. Yes, you can continuously negotiate as your fighter is getting prominence, while at the same time you have the benefit of you know, all the activity and the financial stability and the resources and the training. So you don't have to worry from fight to the next fight, where am I going to go, what am I going to do? It's a really, really great setup. That's why fighters are flocking to it.
No, would you be okay? So yeah, no doubt, man. And it sounds like Zuffa is more like an umbrella, right? That is your That is where you work, you're consistently fighting. But if you've earned a right, if Turkey calls for you to be an opponent or, you know, to challenge or get an opportunity to become a champion in these other sanctioning bodies on that bigger card in Riyadh, there'll be those opportunities, and Zuffa won't get in the way of those opportunities. In fact, like you said, they're encouraging the fighters to go and take advantage of those opportunities. And I can see why they would do it, because that just brings credibility to them, right? If a fighter
exactly right.
Right, goes to the big stage and takes your belts and then comes back to Zuffa, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have.
That's the whole point. And listen, nobody said that that's the plan to me, and we were like in a back room and they said that's what we're trying to do, but it's just common sense, it's common logic. Like, how do you bring validity to the Zuffa belt in the best, most direct and simplistic manner? You go and you fucking beat the rest out of all these guys with all these validated historical belts, the green belt, go beat the snot out of the green belt holder. And then everybody shuts the fuck up and they're like, oh my God, oh, wow, this is a legitimate champion. And so that's also a reason why I don't think you're going to see this. I don't think Zuffa's going to rush in and start doing, every Zuffa Boxing 4, yeah, Jay is fighting for a championship. Zuffa Boxing 5 will be the next category, and Zuffa Boxing 6. No. They're going to make sure that the guys that have the chance to compete for the belt are guys that can go and beat the snot out of some of the top other guys that are holding the other belts before they allow them the chance to do it. And so there's going to be a direct correlation. When you see certain guys fighting, they're like, you've proven you're ready for it.
Yeah. They're going to be, because Dana and Zuffa Boxing, however anybody wants to look at it, is going to recognize that any of our champions in any given Sunday can be called to arms, right? Can be called to, hey, Turkey might say, hey, we want your welterweight champion. We want to put him up against, you know, the IBF champion here, or, you know what I mean, the WB or unified champion, or the Ring Magazine lineal champion on Riyadh season on the big stage. And he wants to make sure the representation, which is what it comes down to, that's going to come out of there, is going to represent the brand the correct way. So they're going to do the correct work to make sure that the best fighter is there. And that's going to be through inside of the ring, right? It's going to be that rites of passage. They're going to earn it, and they're going to be proven by the time they get to that big stage. I'm excited. Absolutely. I'm excited to see all those things come together, man. At the end of the day, I don't want to hold you too long, because I'm like that. I'll hold you too long, and I try to be aware of this.
Good, brother. Good conversation.
Okay, I have a bad habit of doing that, and I try to be aware and conscious of that. At the end of the day, though, now that Julian's in position right now, and I saw that video, the clip you sent me the other day, and I thought that was really important video, because on this platform, I'm always talking about boxing being a team sport. And people are like, what are you talking about? It's one guy in the ring against another guy. I'm like, you guys are, you know, I look at Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, and I don't know if Terrence Crawford could pull that off without Bomac and all those guys in that corner and all the people that were in that camp, whether it was Lester Martinez he was sparring against, or all those people coming together. When there was a moment in that fight when Terrence Crawford got that headbutt and he had that cut, and you know, if you watch Terrence Crawford, you know his instinct is to go get it back, is to go brawl and go fight. No, Bomac was able to, when he got back to the corner, shake that off, champ. You already know what we came here to do. We're not going to fall for it. We're going to stick to the game plan. We're going to box. We're going to take our opportunities. And Terrence you're right, and was able to perform magnificently in that fight. So when I saw Julian, I saw the confidence in his eyes as he was speaking in that interview about how this point in his career, in this chapter, how confident he felt because of his team, because of you, because of the people around him. For the first time in his career, he's not worried about these things anymore. He is very confident in his team, which makes him that much more confident moving forward. What do you have to say about that as far as the team concept and Julian's confidence right now that you guys have built this great relationship now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Julian said it best. And this was, by the way, you guys go check this out. If you haven't, just go to Google and check Anomaly of a Fighter. And it's Anatomy of a Fighter. And it's this guy, Will Harris, that, you know, he's like millions of views. He's been doing this for 9 years. He's been mostly on the MMA side. So the latest one that was just released yesterday, I think already has like 50,000 views in one day. It's focused on Khabib and his crew, but in there is a segment for about 5-10 minutes, which is Zuffa Boxing and Julian. So Julian talks about these things. But anyway, so I mean, yeah, Julian talks about it. He's like, so listen, some fighters are more like lone wolves, and all they do is, right, they want to be by themselves. And and have that mentality. Julian likes Entourage. You know, he's like he just like the movie Entourage, right? He likes his. I have my manager, I have my co-manager, I have my trainer, I have my other trainer, you know, that are here, and all of us live together in the same house. Like we rented a massive Airbnb and with like 5-6 bedrooms and whatever 3 bathrooms in Vegas. We weren't at the hotel where they told us we could be, or where other people were, and so that we could all fit and be in one place. And we were there like not the fight weekday, we were there like a month before, and we're going to all the training sessions. We're all together throughout the whole experience, right? Hanging out, eating together, you know, and so yeah, that's what makes him feel good. Also, he's a really social kid. So like he was when we were talking about the PI, the Performance Institute over there, he's like, this is like, you know, university for fighters. Like this is like Fight Club University. And in university, right, you have the popular kids, you have the kids that are kind of loners and by themselves, eating their food at their table by themselves. And Julian was one of those guys that he wants to meet everybody. So everybody, not just like the MMA fighters and the other boxers and the other trainers, but like, you know, the lady that's serving the stuff at the cafeteria and the receptionist and everybody knew him by first name. He knew everybody by first name. And I think that was great. Also, to be honest, as a team, talk about team concept, but also overall, I mean, that type of stuff helps you, right? Because you make connections, right, across the sports. And I think a big part of Zuffa is that it can cross rely on the strengths of the UFC and the MMA fighters. Like you're sitting there in sauna, or you're training right next to some greats from MMA, right? And you see how humble these guys are, right? Multi-millionaires, achieved, everybody knows their name. And they're like, you know, I'm a fighter, you're another fighter, you know, you're a trainer, you're a manager, and they're the humblest guys on earth, and they're just focused on getting work done and getting better. They're helping you with tips, you're helping them, and that's amazing. So yeah, team concept is great. The broader team concept and what's going on in that cocktail of the Performance Institute with the achieved MMA guys and the boxers coming in. By the way, also very interesting, Shakur Stevenson, where Shakur can train anywhere for his fight against Teofimo, right? Anywhere in the world. Right. He can show out. He's making over $10 million. He can show out for fight.
You know, he has his own gym too. He has his own gym.
Yeah, you know where he went? He went to the Performance fucking Institute in the Apex Center. That's where he went to prepare for his fight. That's where he was. That's where he chose to be. Why is that? Very interesting, because of the same things I'm saying right now. So like the fighters that are the top, whoever they're signed with, they already recognize what this is and why and how it makes sense and what the environment is over there. And it's better than anything else in the world. So awesome. So that being said, any word on Julian's next event? Do you have a date yet, or even an opponent maybe? But do you have a? I have a date and an opponent that I cannot disclose yet legally. But all I'm gonna say is the discussions have been great. We're excited about the next one, and it's gonna be early to mid-May in Vegas. So I'm giving you like within a 2-week range. That's close enough. An undefeated opponent, over 20 wins. Welterweight, 147, no catch weights this time. And and so we're very excited about it. And once we're, you know, they give us the green light to release, you know, the names and everything else, I'm sure you'll be one of the first ones to know, brother.
I'm definitely looking forward, and hopefully we can talk to Julian before the fight. I like talking to him after the fight anyway, though, because I like to get all the emotions and everything that went into the fight. So, but I'm looking forward to hear about that. What else did I want to ask you? There was something else that I wanted to tap into real quick before I let you go. Man, I gotta start writing things down, Dimitri. I gotta get better at this thing. But
it's our young age, right?
Yeah, man. I'm just not like it used to be, man. I used to have this memory thing down to a science, but now it's like it comes and it goes. And I promise you, after we get off, it'll be like, oh, I'll send it to you in a text message.
Yeah, but, no problem.
But yeah, super excited to see how this works out, man. Great event this past weekend. Are you a fan of the sport? Are you watching the sport as well?
Oh, absolutely. I haven't missed a fight of these. I was live. I was at Madison Square Garden for the Shakur Teofimo stuff.
Great.
And I go to a lot of the live stuff. I watched the Zuffa Boxing 2 and 3 that I wasn't there for. I watched on Paramount, everything from the very beginning, prelims all the way through. It's amazing how those went, right? Zuffa Boxing 3, Those
Yeah,
three.
that was a good one. That was a real good one. They're all
Yeah.
good ones, but that one, and that's another thing. It's getting better and better and better, like Dana said it would be, right? You're going to watch improvements from an event to an event to an, whether it's production, whether it's matchmaking. He's signing a whole bunch of new heavyweights. That's what he's saying. So that's going to be interesting. And I know there's some fighters that are also popped up as far as like 135 and 147. He's picking up fighters over there as well. I think Mark Masayo just got picked up and a couple of other fighters. But we're going into a great fight weekend this weekend. Any picks, man? If you don't mind me picking at your brain just a little bit on your picks going into the fight, man, we can go right into the main event. You know, if you don't got the time, we don't got to go through the whole card. But you know, Mario,
you know what? It's gonna be an exciting fight. I'm going with Mario Barrios for that one. I think at the end of the day, right, hard work beats talent when you're willing to work hard, and just I haven't seen enough consistency from Ryan, right? I think Ryan is the more talented fighter, but I refuse to believe anymore that this is gonna be the time where he did put in the work and he wasn't walking around with neon and streaming shit and focused on his boxing. And I know exactly I know what Mario Barrios has been doing. He's been fucking training like he does for every fight consistently. And so, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I hope it's an exciting fight, but yeah, my money's on Barrios to take this one.
Yeah, a lot on the back end of this fight for Ryan Garcia for sure, man. This one right here is the end all be all. This is going to speak to him, about him in a big way and how he moves forward in his career. But I do agree with you. I don't know where I'm at with it yet, man. I'm kind of with you on that one, but you know that left hook, man. If he can dial in, obviously there's always that game changer, right? The game changer, which is that left hook. So we'll see how Mario prepares. Joe Goosen over there now, so I'm sure they'll be ready. They'll be ready. We got the undercard, Richardson Hitchins out of Brooklyn, New York. You know what I'm saying? And going ahead and defend his IBF title against Oscar Duarte. Any picks in that one?
Hitchins all the way. We were actually Hitchins and Julian were supposed to spar, I think, between like one of the last fights that Julian had, and for whatever reason it didn't work out. But they've known each other for years. He's a local fighter over here where we are in Jersey, not far away from. So yeah, I think he's got all the tools to win this one.
Yeah, good boxing coming from the Hitchins side and a lot of pressure. Last time we saw Hitchins in the ring with a pressure fighter was Gustavo Lemos. Bad weight cut for Hitchins, not his best performance. A lot of people thought he may have lost that fight. Well, he's back in the ring now with another fighter, not Argentinian, but a Mexican who's been tried true and just came out of the ring with a good boxer out of Chicago and Kenneth Sims. So let's see the adjustments that Oscar Duarte's done. Let's see what Robert Garcia, Hall of Fame trainer, probably future Hall of Fame trainer and a trainer of the year. And Robert Garcia, let's see what kind of game plan they can put together. And let's see if Hitchins can pull it out again, man, see what he does. Next fight on the list, Gary Antoine Russell. Oh, man, this guy, I just want him to be so much more active, bro. He's one of those guys low-key between you and me and Dimitri. I'm like, oh, bro, if that one start getting you more active, you might want to consider Zuffa. I'm just saying, not just off the activity. You might consider it, but it is what it is. WBA champion, 140 pounds, be defending his title against Andy Hiroka. A lot of people here in the States not too familiar with Hiroka that much. I don't know how familiar you are with him, but, you know, how do you feel about that fight going into it?
Gary all the way too. I agree with you. I wish, you know, again, like his promotion, unfortunately, it's like you fight once every year and a half or so, and that you know, that's kind of put cobwebs and rust around so many of the fighters. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think that, you know, Gary's a very special talent, and I've seen Hiroka's fights, but I think Gary takes that one, and I think it's gonna be a knockout.
Yeah, I think that's a potential fight of the night category because Andy Hiroka rumbles. People aren't that familiar with him, but they will get familiar with him one way or another. I think he's going to deliver at a minimum. He's going to deliver on people going to look at Andy Hiroka and be like, damn, that could be fight of the night right there. I can't lie to you, low key, but we'll see. Both those guys like to get it in. And then we got who is it? We got my guy Frank Martin, right? He had a great turnout when he went and fought Rances Barthélemy in his last fight, knockout of the year candidate as far as I'm concerned. Not knockout of the year, but a candidate for knockout of the year. And he's going against Nahir Albright, coming off a great performance against Kelvin Davis, older brother of Keyshawn Davis. An upset victory, maybe some people might consider, against Kelvin Davis, but Nahir seems to have a lot of support out of the Philadelphia space. Buddy McGirt, new trainer for Frank Martin on this one. Good old Buddy McGirt, man, said he had 3 weeks with him before going into that Rances Barthélemy. This one, a full camp Buddy gets with Frank Martin. What are you expecting to see in that one?
You know what? I don't know the fighters well enough to make a prediction on this one, but here's what I'm going to say. Knowing the Davis brothers, there's only one brother in the family that's any good in boxing, and his name is Keyshawn. So the fact that one of the other guys got, were in there and whatever happened, I would use that as a hype. Building up your resume too much.
All right, so we'll see what happens in that one. I'm going with Frank. I'm going with Frank, but Wu. His nickname Wu. Now here, Albright, a great fighter. Matter of fact, fought Keyshawn as well. Very competitive fight. Ran into a close split decision with Keyshawn Davis. So listen, man. Now here, Albright's no slouch. Not coming to win without a doubt. I'm very confident of that. So I'm interested in seeing all that, man. Man, look, Dimitri, I appreciate you, man. I'm not going to hold you up much longer. Still got the rest of the show to do, man. If you want to leave people your social media or any way to find you, let them know, man. But I appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, it's at Vikings Fight Club M, and that's the one that I use for boxing and MMA. So yeah, please follow that. It's really on Instagram. It's at Dimitri Popov on Twitter X. And yeah, I mean, thanks for giving me the chance and opportunity to chat about Zuffa boxing. Very excited about that, and Julian. And hopefully we'll talk again before the next one.
You know what I mean? God willing, that's what we'll be doing. I appreciate you, Dimitri. Thank you, man. Everybody, Dimitri Popov. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
Salute. Yeah, man. That was a good one, man. That was a good one, man. No complaints about that at all, man. I thought that was good. Getting that insight for whatever it's worth for people. Some people weren't that interested in it. I understand, but it's one thing to speculate about what's going on in the space, and it's another thing to get that information, right? That on the ground information about what's going on with Zuffa boxing. We've heard from the fighters. You know what I'm saying? A couple of fighters from Zuffa, but I think it was good to hear from managers, right? From a manager like Dimitri, who was able to really give you the truth about what's going on over there. What do you think about it, Ray?
Loved it. I think a lot of people were very disrespectful because of the fact that the sanctioned bodies weren't included on a lot of things. What I love about this is that we know Zuffa is a program, right? And when I say that it's kind of like a development stage, but also it has some good fighters there, right? It has some top fighters. So when you have that type of atmosphere, unlike UFC, which is the king of the hill, right?
Right.
People are coming to UFC. This is fighters going to the field, which is great, right? So it's great that he mentioned that, and there's no bonds with the contract issue. I love that part, right? Then we're talking about. I got a whole bunch of stuff. You asked so many questions, bro. I couldn't even put it all on paper, but the whole I think was it the picks was great, right? Because I love that he loved boxing. I thought the picks was great. I do disagree with him with the It's not that I disagree. I do think that Haruka is a gamer, a clean chance, and then we have they have so much stuff, Clay. Hold on, let me get you a good one because I got to go through this very carefully.
Yeah, take your time, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Hey, listen, guys, man, hit the like button. I didn't get a chance to do that before, but you guys should already knew that. But if you're in the building, hit the like button, support the channel, man. Subscribe to the channel, man. Subscribe to the channel. Let's help the channel grow, man. We had a great Sunday. A lot of people came out. I couldn't believe it, man. So many people who really just into boxing, obviously, right? I think we had over 180 people at one point inside the live chat, man, just following the fight along. So a shout out to all the new subscribers. We had a bunch of new subscribers on Sunday night, but definitely, man, tell a friend and tell a friend, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, man. But I thought the conversation was a great conversation. You know what I mean? And I love, I'm gonna be honest with you, the biggest part of the conversation I like was not even activity, because we already knew about that, right? But I like how he was able to kind of give a clear vision on this whole Ali Act thing was protection that the fighters actually had in comparison to the protection they have now, and really showing that in many ways the fighters are more protected now of the strength that they're under the umbrella of a publicly traded company who's also being policed, right? The company's being watched over, and they can't afford to make these mistakes and get these lawsuits because of all the investors that they have accountability and responsibility to. And him speaking on the fact that Zuffa is the small part of the conversation in comparison to the UFC, the WWE, and all these other huge million dollar corporations, and they're not going to compromise the integrity on the basis of everything else that's attached to it. And I saw what he was saying, and I thought he said it very eloquently when he basically said that these fighters and the promoters that what's the degrees of separation between their money, right, their promoter and the fighter, and the fighter getting what they get at the end of it, and not, it's not as transparent as people think it was, that they've always been gotten that Ali thing was just like it's kind of like there's a vagabond, I'm trying to remember what the word is, but basic, what is it called? A loitering. When you walk around the city, you're supposed to have a minimum amount of money in your pocket, right? And if they, police are, talking to you and you don't have that minimum amount and you walk around, they can charge you with loitering. They can give you a ticket for loitering because you have no way of traveling. You can't get on a train. You can't feed yourself. You're just walking around here. But nobody enforces that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows about that. Nobody enforces that. And the Ali Act was kind of like that same situation where it was there to protect the fighters, and that's what the idea was behind it. But clearly promoters have been taking advantage of fighters for years as the Ali Act has been going on. I don't need to bring up Floyd Mayweather suing Steven Espinoza right now, or Virgil Ortiz, you know what I'm saying, and what Parisian's charges are against Floyd, against Oscar De La Hoya, not handling them correctly. Promoters have been doing this for years. But this being Zuffa's connected to this big $1 billion publicly traded company gives the fighters way more transparency than people might want to admit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the other things. The last thing I like the backstory, right? The backstory.
Vagrancy, that's it. Thank you, Toledo. Vagrancy, thank you.
Yeah. So it's totally Jerry Maguire, right? How he started off in hockey and moved his way around and got into boxing, and with J-Rod, and how that propelled him going from there. Great backstory, man. And it just shows you that sports in general are all connected, right? So him pushing that and giving us that backstory was amazing. Ultimately, if you want to get to the fights, I still have some more, but
I definitely want to get to the fights, but right. I want to just close out that topic, because I want to definitely get into the fights by saying that, man, it's a step-by-step process. It's a war of attrition, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And event by event, I'm watching it with a close scrutinized eye, just like the rest of you guys. I might not express it when I speak on it, but I'm watching. I'm looking for the improvements. I'm looking at the things that I want to see change a little bit. I'm looking at the things that I like, and I'm looking at the development of it. I'm still in an optimistic place. I'm not guaranteeing results. I'm not sitting here like we won. What does that mean, right? I'm optimistic at a minimum, right? To say the least, to say that I'm optimistic for the fighters, because I love to hear these young fighters getting this opportunity. I think we're going to get great talent coming out of that Zuffa program. I think the Robert Merriweathers, the Jalil Hackett's are going to benefit, exponentially. The Julian Rodriguez's, right? These guys are going to benefit in a way that money can't buy, right? And I think that's going to do better for boxing. I really do. When it's all said and done, I think it's going to do better for boxing. But yeah, man, it's fight week. It's fight week, right?
Yo, I know. I'm excited. But I do want to say one more thing. This sucks because you said something, right? Yo, last weekend was crazy this Sunday, right?
Right.
I think every fight but two was knockouts, right? Or stoppages. It's crazy.
Not every fight. I think it was like 4 or 5 knockouts, like 4. Yeah, so it was a majority of them, I would say.
I was gonna say it was only 8 fights, so 3 were knockout, were decisions. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
and
still
prelims
crazy.
For real. In real time, really the prelims.
Yeah. So that's crazy, man. I'm like, yo, this is exciting. And this gives you great expectations on what to expect. And then they just had all the boxers were sitting in the building.
You saw T.O. in there. We saw a lot of fighters in there. But also knockout of the year candidate, man. That knockout line. I'm calling him Beckhoff because I can't say his complete last name. But what a knockout, man.
The Zambian Bekov or the Zambekov, something like that.
Something like that. I don't want to butcher his name. I promise you I don't.
Yeah.
But that lead hand, that uppercut, man, the way he timed it, it was right on time.
The extension on it was crazy.
Right.
Bro, he was all the way up here. I'm like, yo, that was
he saw it though, and he had to take it. He saw it because I can't remember. I think one say his name is Belial, or was his last name or something like that. He kept reaching with that lead hand, right?
Yeah.
He kept reaching. He wasn't shooting it and bringing it back. He kept reaching, using it as a rangefighter, and you saw Beckhoff was looking at him like, "Hi, bro, I'm telling you."
Yo, he said,
"Oh,
you kidding?"
On that one. That third one, he came right up under that armpit. Boom, left that boy's left leg shaking. Right? He looked crazy.
Did he do that? Sure,
yeah.
Are you kidding?
There was a little noise. I'm not too sure. You know, when I'm calling the fights, I don't got the sound on.
I know,
so
right?
I didn't hear the
That's
sound,
crazy.
but it was
no.
Crazy
I'm saying that the Street Fighter shit. Like,
no, I know what you're saying. No, I'm making a joke. I'm saying he probably did say that.
Yeah. Probably he probably did, because he definitely hit him with that. Whoa.
No, that was a knockout of the year candidate. That was right next to the Brian Norman Jr. Jin Sasaki knockout. You know what I'm saying? It was right there. I mean, obviously, the Jin Sasaki one was horrible because of the amnesia and, you know, the hospital had to get involved. This one, the guy was able to wake up, but yeah, he was shaking, man.
He was like, he looked at the ref. He was like, yo, the light's still on, bro? Like, what's going on? You waking me up for what?
Let me see here. I'm getting something. Let me read here. Yo, Clay, they talk. Dev works. Hold on a second. Yo, Clay, they talk. Hold on a second here. Let me see what's going on here. Rumors are circulating about between Devin and Keyshawn Davis who would win in this fight, man. Yeah, man. Listen, man. Devin is in the man. Look at these good pictures. These are great pictures, man, that they got, man, of Devin and Keyshawn. This fight right here is stirring up the game right now, man. Everybody's talking about what is Devin going to do, period, right? They're looking for that next fight for Devin. He's trying to build up some momentum off of this Brian Norman victory. Bill is not going to let this momentum go away. He's working his ass off, as he should and as he always does. We're hearing about XANDER. People were trying to push the Shakur thing to the front, but Keyshawn just seems to be the fight that seems to be more realistic right now. Seems like XANDER has plans. Shakur's already told you the restrictions, and you know, I don't think Devin's going for that. It looks like Keyshawn's going to be the fight. What do you think?
I always thought it was. I just think, listen, I heard you guys talking on Frequent Channel last night. I do believe it's too early for him. I think he should have took a tune-up, but hey, you never know. He's a good fighter. We'll have to see. I just think that this might be just a little too much, and that's my opinion. Doesn't mean anything, and I don't really give like a strong opinion on that because anything can happen. But it's strong enough where I just think that, hey man, go do your thing, Keyshawn. If it works for you. I'm happy for you. Good luck. And
listen, I made a promise. I made a promise to myself, and I spoke and I said it to the world so you guys can hold me accountable, and said after that Devin Haney, Brian Norman fight, I would not go against Devin Haney anymore. It was just going to be very difficult for me to do that. I'm not going to go against him here, but I will tell you this, sir. I think Keyshawn Davis is a lot more game than people give him credit for. I think he's a lot more capable than people think he is. I totally agree about the experience. It will play out here. We don't know, but I keep telling you guys this, and I'm going to keep saying it. That camp is just different, and I believe there's a lot of experience happening inside that camp that I don't think these guys can get outside in that ring unless they're fighting a Devin Haney. So I believe all that sparring happening between Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson, potential sparring that may have happened with Terrence Crawford, even with the Zaquin Moses and the Raymond Fords and all those people who occupy that family, that brotherly bond that we see happening, because that Shakur Stevenson last all access was very telling. We've seen it before in different all accesses, but that particular one, you saw the camaraderie. You saw how they all come together. And I'm telling you right now, it matters. It counts, because a lot of fighters don't have that camp. They don't have that. You know, for a little while, it seemed like Derek James and the Errols and the Jamal, you know, and the Charlo brothers, it seemed like they kind of were working with that same momentum a little bit. But we come to find out, hindsight says maybe it wasn't all great, and you know, everything wasn't all great in Candyland. You know what I'm saying? Maybe everything wasn't all great. This one right here seems solid, man. They seem solid, and I think we got a game opponent in Keyshawn Davis. And that being said, super excited to see that fight. Very intrigued and very interested in seeing that fight here. But yeah, I got to lean towards Devin. The experience. He's been here. He's acclimated to his division. He's the 147-pound champion. But man, I think people are sleeping on Keyshawn's game, man. I think they're sleeping on how game that brother is.
You know what it reminds me of? When you go all out to go build that car, that Mustang, and you put the supercharger, you put the muffler on it. Your shit fast. We know it's this guy crazy.
Right.
And then your boy come right down the street in that M3 competition. You
Mhm.
like, man, I'll smoke you. He's like, what, man? Whatever, man. You ain't
Yeah,
even
he's like, brother,
you ain't do
like,
nothing to that
yeah,
car. I got everything on here, including 12 bottles of nitrous.
yeah.
What? You know what I mean? And then you pull up to that light and y'all go, and you like, yo, all that money I done put into this car, bro.
Right.
Just to lose, what?
Right.
So I
But
just
listen,
think
the
that
driver makes a difference too, man. It
right,
could be
right. There you go.
sometimes that be the difference, and sometimes those stories go the other way, right? Sometimes it's like, damn, that Honda cooked him.
There you go. So now we can switch it up, right? So now we got, but there's the thing. Well, all that souped up information. Now the guy look at you, your boy looking at you like, yo, man, you ain't got nothing. Bro, I paid $130,000 for this car. You little $50,000 car. Boom. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. You know what I mean? So that's the trajectory of it, right? So we just got to keep that in mind that it's a good fight.
It's a great fight. You know, I know people are going to push back at the idea of Keyshawn going up in weight. They're going to try to, bring. I've heard the conversations last night. Shout out to my brother, Freaking Flower, was on his show. People were bringing up he pulling him up in weight, and people were saying all those different things. It doesn't matter, man. Styles make fights, and special fighters make special fights, man. I think Sean Davis is a special fighter. I don't think there's any argument that Devin Haney's a special fighter, and I just think there's opportunity for that to be a great fight, man.
Right. And it's going to be one of two things. Actually, it's going to be one thing no matter what. It's going to be a lesson learned. Either way.
Period.
So we're going to leave it there.
Yeah, man. Jamel Charlo does his interview, man, comes back out, man. He's speaking on, he wants to get in there with Boots, man. Let me not say begging. Let me be respectful.
Listen, you ain't got to say it.
Listen, I want to be respectful. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say he's passionately, respectfully asking Eddie Hearn to reach out to him. You know what I'm saying?
Call out, bro.
You know what I mean? And make that fight happen. Now, look, we already know it's telling. And I don't even want to do it because I don't want to ruin anybody's appetite on the playback or anybody who might be here in the chat. I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to say I told you so, or get back into the PBC and questioning their abilities to put together these fights. I'm going to stick to the fight. And I'm going to say, just off the strength and the respect of the fight, I'm going to tell you the truth, Ray. I think it's a great fight for Boots. I think it checks a lot of boxes. I think he'll have the I beat the man that beat the man on his resume. And the man, last time I checked, who's undefeated, undisputed, lineal champion. He is the man who beat the man to become who he was, has not been dethroned in an official capacity at 154. And this fight for Jerron Boots Ennis may be destiny writing on the walls, giving him an opportunity to have that type of accolade on his record. What do you think about the fight?
I actually think it's a good fight. You know why? Because there's danger in this fight for both fighters. The fact that this is no different than Devin and Boots, right? Even though we have a more experienced challenger at this point, we could say with Jamel Charlo, and the fact that Jamel Charlo he's a solid boxer, he's a good puncher, he's a hitman to say the least, you know what I mean, in all different aspects. But at the same time, we got Boots, this new guy, this new king of the hill, talking about he taking over. He don't care who's in the way. And then the size comparison, bro, I seen him when they was talking at the fight, bro. And I'm just gonna tell you, that scares me. And I hate to say, I never even knew Jamel Charlo with a smoke. I thought he was close to 6 foot. And I'm like, yo, he's looking up.
I remember when people were comparing him to Canelo, being like, yo, he's the same size as Canelo, maybe even bigger than Canelo, right?
Right.
But no, Boots is definitely he was a huge 147 pounder, and he's a big 154 pounder, man. And he's a big puncher, super athletic. Listen, there's a reason why we think that he might be the one, but he has to prove it. He needs that signature fight, man.
This is his fight right here. So this is what I'm gonna say. The danger of this fight is there's no shorts taken from Charlo. Charlo's gonna get in this ring. He's gonna look to put Boots out. Boots has some flaws. We pointed him out. I know he likes to play the game of like, let me get it, let me lean in to slide back and counter. You know what I mean? A blow pull counter, whatever you want to call it, flip and dip, whatever you want to call it. And that chin has been tapped. You know what I mean? In those situations.
Right.
This is not Lima. I think if this punch comes through the same way, it could get landed. You know what I mean? So in all due respect, you gotta educate a boxer in this ring right now, and a former champion or current current non belt holder. Let's just put it that way.
Right. I think the space. I was talking to Angelo about this the other day. You know, he was getting into the technicalities of it, and I was telling him, man, the technicalities ain't going to matter here. The people know what the people know. The people know who Jermell Charlo is, bro. He's going to come into the ring with that same respect. Granted, he's been on this hiatus for over 2 years now, going on 3 years, depending on when they actually fight. It might be 3 years, but at the end of the day, he still is the undisputed champion at 154 pounds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Know that.
They may give him that title back as soon as he gets back in the ring.
Well, they might give him. I would say he would have that. Me and Angel were talking about it, but I'm wondering if they will allow him to be a Ring Magazine champion. Would they allow him to go?
It depends, right? Because last time Oscar was the owner at the time, I think he had it, and I don't think he was ever stripped or he never gave up the title.
Right.
Usually that has to happen, and being that never happened, he did move up in weight though, to say the least. So that also counts. But the fact that he's really going to campaign there. It depends on how they feel, right? This kid helped the division, to say the least, also. But we have to wait and see. I'm going to go pick up little man from school.
Yeah, do what you do, man.
Blessings. Chat. Peace out. Love y'all. You know what I mean? Don't forget to hit the like button, you know, and anybody
subscribe
that wants
to the channel, damn it.
Exactly. Subscribe if you hear, you haven't, at the end of the day. And if you want to talk to my boy Clay, if he allows it, be nice.
No doubt, no doubt. Salute, man. Yeah, I'll put the link out real quick. You know what I mean? If anybody wants to come up and build right quick, you know, feel free to hit the link, man. There, I just dropped it. I think Toledo's gonna hop up here. There's a link right there. But yeah, man, great fights. Toledo's probably going to come up here. Shout out to Albert Bell back in the conversation. Guys, we know Lucas Body and Albert Bell were supposed to be in conversations on this eliminator, but it looks like Lucas Body's going to take the opportunity to make that fight happen with Floyd Schofield. So Albert Bell was kind of left in the wind again without a fight, but who steps up? Andy Cruz, Albert Bell. What do I think of that fight? Man, I think it's a great fight. Clearly, by the way, you got to give Eddie Hearn his props. Shout out to Eddie Hearns, who's taking Andy Cruz right back into another opportunity to get into an eliminator, to be right back into contention. This fight right here, Albert Bell, a fighter who's been kind of looked over a little bit, kind of missing out on those opportunities, the politics of the sports. Probably one of those fighters. I would say Albert Bell is one of those fighters who's not benefited by the politics, you know, just working his way through the game, undefeated, just looking for that opportunity. And here he is. He gets to be involved in an eliminator. You got to be happy for him. It is what it is. Shoot HLD. What's good, family?
What's going on, man? Be honest with you, man. When I heard that news, I thought of this dude, this B-Lows right now, Trice, bro. I'm happy for this mofo, bro, because he's been pushing and pumping and yo, shouting it out. So, bro, I'm happy for you, Trice. What you got to say, man?
Yeah, Tree. Let Tree out of the stage, man, because his guy finally got it, and it looks like this one's going to stick.
Yo.
What's good? What up, though?
What up, though? Yeah, man. You know how we rocking, man. My guy, Albert Bell. Like I said, Claymore, Andy is cruising for a bruising. He's in trouble. But you understand me? This is definitely the fight that we needed to see. I was asking for this fight beforehand with Andy Cruz. But I will say it's good because hopefully it's with Matchroom. And if Eddie, you know, I know he likes to give guys deals. You understand me? Maybe we get a 3-fight deal about this shit. We beat on Andy Cruz, and then we get a Joe Cordina fight. I'd like to see us beat on Joe Cordina as well, because he was ducking and dodging my dog at 130. I still want to put hands and hooves on that man. We ain't forgot about you, Joe. You can't run from us forever, gang. We want you too. Yeah. So I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. I'm also excited this weekend. Like I said, I don't know if you heard, but we got a little heavyweight here in Toledo, Ohio. James Evans. He gonna be fighting on that Clarissa Shields card.
Okay.
This Sunday. Yes, indeed. He's gonna be fighting Price Taylor. I'm excited for that as well, man. Everybody, and he in the same camp as Albert Bell. So you know we got action coming out of here.
Listen, we need those American heavyweights, man. We got to keep an eye on them because we still looking, man. We still looking for our heavyweight, man. We looking for him, so definitely gonna have my eye on him for sure.
And my God, I heard, is it? Damn, I know you the Zuffa guy. I know you you the spokesperson over there. Have you? Am I tripping, or I thought I was hearing something about Jared Anderson possibly taking a scrap over there with
Zuffa. Hey, listen, bro. I'm not gonna say nothing, bro. Listen, I'm not gonna act like I'm not tapped in a little bit. You feel me? I do be tapped in a little bit. I'm gonna tell you this, man. They're moving faster than they thought they were gonna move. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay.
They're moving faster than they thought they was going to move. They're picking up specifically three heavyweights. One of them was a heavyweight champion. I think we know who it is. If you want to, you know what I mean,
Ruiz. Shout out to Andy Ruiz. I actually seen that. Shout out to Andy
Right.
Ruiz.
It's gonna be Andy. That's what I'm believing. That's what my people are telling me. But yeah, Jared is in. Hey, bro, I don't know. Man. One thing I don't do is I don't put out the information before they put it out, and I know that until it's done, it's not done. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it goes. The person could be all aboard until the last minute, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I changed my mind. Look at Bam. Bam was in the conversation, and Bam switched it up real quick, right? Real quick.
He had to abide by obligations of a contract. That's what
right.
He had to do. So, but yo, man, this Jared Anderson, the little bit that I'm seeing from him right now, it seems like the birth of his baby gave him some new fuel, gave him a different mindset. You see him, chirping like he's refueled. Maybe he's got a different perspective and a different energy and purpose that gives him a reason to go all in the sport. So I'm hoping it is, man. But my guy is Joshua Edwards. That's the guy. That's my guy that I got an eye on.
The Rocket.
That's my guy, man. I like what I see from the guy. I hope he's all in on it, because he has an intangible that I think he can make some noise in the American heavyweight.
I thought he was with Eddie. I mean, he's still with Eddie, right?
No, he's with Golden Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's with Golden Boy, but he might be. Listen, he could be in. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me tell you how I feel about the heavyweight division. Frank Warren runs the UK heavyweight division. We do not have a Frank Warren in America. I think Zuffa is going to collect heavyweights. I think the heavyweights are going to pull up over there, bro, and they're going to fight because they get an opportunity to get inside that top 10, to get in that Riyadh conversation. I think you're going to see a lot of American heavyweights look at the landscape of things and say, yeah, that's where the heavyweights are at.
That ain't by accident either, though. That ain't by accident. If you heard what Turkey said at the Times Square event, what did he say?
Black fighters,
American black fighters are the best for the heavyweight division. I like them, man. Like, all right, man, acting like but hey, man, it's not by accident. I think that's what's that's a mandate from the top guy over to Dana White.
Yeah, I don't care what you do. I'm not going to get in the way of your job. Do your job, but get them damn heavyweights, bro. Like I'm telling you what to do, but I'm not. You heard?
Right.
Get those damn heavyweights. The Dana's like, say less, Turkey. I got you, bro. We're on it. We're gonna get it done, man. Great fights this weekend on that Zuffa card, but we're going into the fight week, man. This is a big fight week, man. This card's another one, man. It's another one, man. This Ryan Garcia, Mario Barrios card is a great card, man. What do you guys think about the card and how you feeling going into fight week, man? We're getting ready. We haven't done the press conference, the final one. We haven't done the final weigh-in. Ryan's, had a little bit of controversy last week, came up late on that weigh-in situation, had to get fined. I know the space went crazy. There he is. I'm telling you, he's going to blow weight. I told you guys. I don't know if I'm drinking that Kool-Aid, but where are you guys at this point? With this
I think boxing scene has been doing a terrible job and a disservice as of the last year and a half, 2 years. They've been jumping the gun, putting out stuff that's not true, stuff that is just because they want to be first. But the thing is that Chris Mannix had just spent just the day before, and he reported before all this came out, oh man, I've spent time with Ryan, and he reported, yo man, he's in the low 150s, which means he was below that. So I mean, is it irresponsible for him to have let himself do that? Because all you got to do is take a self video. Yeah, very stupid and irresponsible. But it wasn't that he missed
he wasn't struggling or anything like that. He was being irresponsible.
His team is doing whatever. And the thing is, it's his father who's in his team. It's not like he has someone else who's the structural person, running the crew right now. It's only his father and him right now.
What do you think, HLD, about Henry returning? A plus, a minus? You don't know how to think about it yet. How do you feel about it?
I think just like it's very similar to the Teofimo thing. The thing is that these kids have a psyche that only a father understands, maybe, and maybe they're not the best to know how to deal with them either. But nobody else is proven to be better than them to deal with them. So I think Henry understands his son, and maybe for the betterment of the boxing skills for his son is not the best, but for the psyche the psyche. I think the psychology of this kid, it might be at the moment better than anybody else.
Yeah, it seems like Ryan has his guard up a little bit, and maybe Henry will help him relax a little bit. Maybe that'll make him not feel, because he seemed a little paranoid off that last fight. Not that fight, but ever since the Goosen situation, ever since the Tank situation,
yeah,
it seemed like he came back from that. A lot of PTSD. The way, I always tell people, I think even that whole California roll shit is PTSD. Every time I see him do the California roll, I'm like, PTSD. You know what I mean? He's thinking about that. I don't care what people tell me. Oh, it works. I don't care if it works, it doesn't work. Bro, that's something that came up after that shit. You feel me? That wasn't there before. You feel me? That wasn't there before, bro. So I don't give a fuck. I think that shit is a result of that shit that happened with Tank. Take it how you want to take it. It works, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but I'm going to say, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I feel you. I hear you. I hear you.
That's like your mom hitting you. Your mom hitting you all the time, and then one day she just raises her hand and scratch her head, and you might, if you're too close, you might, hey, oh, my bad, you would just scratch, my bad. I'm just kind of used to you putting them hands on me. I ain't gonna lie. Love you, Mom. You know what I'm saying? By the way, love you, Mom. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, too many beatings get you moving around kind of crazy. It is what it is. Yo, HL, hold it down for me for 1 second, King. I gotta
absolutely. You know, when it comes down to what's going on this weekend, guys. I mean, you know, we got. Not only do we have the Ryan Garcia and Barrios fight, which is supposed to be a domino effect for what's coming up later on, because I mean, but now, hold to behold, it seems like that fight for whoever that winner is already set up for Shakur. When I think the majority of the public wanted to see Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney next. So I mean, from what we're getting out there, it seems like there's a strong push by Turkey to have Shakur fight Ryan Garcia if he wins instead of Devin Haney this Saturday. I'm not asking for that fight. I'm not happy about that. That seems to be the rumor from everybody that's what we're getting. But we'll see, man. I'm not interested in Ryan Garcia catchweight versus Shakur Stevenson. I am not interested at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm okay with it. Is this something I was asking for? No. But you know what I'm okay with? I'm okay with Shakur. I'm okay with Shakur going to get some money, bro. He worked his ass off. Wait, hold up. I'm okay with him, taking advantage of the momentum he built for himself of that victory. You know what I'm saying? He took for a while. He's been on the opposite side of making those fights. That was his first signature fight. He's got the momentum. He's moved up to number 3 in the pound for pound list. And man, let that man go get some money, man. If he thinks that's an easy money for him to get and he's going to get a big bag for it, let him feed Lele. Let him get his money up so he can finally marry that beautiful fiance of his. Let him become a man. You know what I'm saying? Let him grow his wealth, man, and let him get his fight, man. He's not going nowhere. That's how I look at it. Shakur's not going nowhere. Right. He's still going to make the big fights.
Listen, man. I totally agree with you, Clay, about the go get it thing. But here's the problem. I think a lot of people don't realize. Ryan weighed in at 143 and ballooned up to an insignificant amount of weight in that fight with Devin Haney. So at 144, he's going to be just as big in that ring. And we talk about no rehydration clause on this kid, man, he's going to be a giant in that ring to Shakur. So I don't think it's going to be too much that Shakur can do besides outbox him and outpoint him. If he doesn't box and do all that, then we're going to be in a situation we're going to be looking at it like, yo, that's crazy. But I purposely hope it doesn't end up like that, and I hope it ends up being a great fight. I give kudos to Shakur for accepting the deal if it happens. I give Ryan kudos for excuse me for the noise, for Ryan getting in a situation where he may be, you know what I mean, on to something and making a big fight with another superstar in the game. You know what I mean? Another guy trying to take the 4-king crown from him because they said he's not a real 4-king. So listen, man, I'm all for it. Let it happen. Gotta go. Going back in the chat.
Give me the Haney. Give me the Haney first.
Yeah, now I want the Haney fight too, but at the same time, I just had this long conversation with Ray Davis earlier today, and I'm gonna reiterate it real quick, bro. When the fighter says he's not ready, bro. He doesn't want to do it without a rehydration clause. He feels like he knows more than I do, which is he knows Devin, and he knows Devin. And a lot of people have said this a long time. Even Zab Judah.
I know you talking about Ryan and Dev.
No, I'm talking about Ryan and Dev, not
Oh,
Ryan.
my bad. I thought you were Shakur and Devin.
No,
Ryan and Dev, yes.
Right. That's what I want first. And if then the winner of that, if Shakur wants to come up and play ball with those guys, I'm cool with that. But I need that rematch first.
You're not getting that Ryan and Devin fight because you want to know why? Because if Ryan wins this fight, he'll be going to the UK to fuck with the Conor Ben gang. That's the fight that'll be happening next.
No, it's gonna be.
And you heard it here first. I gotta believe you tell, and exactly. You don't tell me I would be naive to believe that Ryan wouldn't stand to make more money in the UK with Conor Ben. Am I crazy for saying that, Claymore?
Not with Turkey money. That doesn't matter.
I mean, Turkey's a UK guy. He loves them UK states.
He likes the UK guy, but Showbiz, and I know people gonna be like, oh, however you feel about Showbiz, but he is tapped in. And one thing I know about Showbiz, he tries his best to stay away from too much speculation, right? So for the fact for him to even say, like, I'm gonna let you know what my ears have heard through the grapevine of being inside of that the zone system, he's letting it be known. The rumor is King of the Rings, Shakur, Ryan, Conor Ben, Rolly, Devin, Keyshawn. It seems like that's what, in a perfect world, in an ideal situation. Seems like that's
Keyshawn in the mix. You think you got Keyshawn? I didn't hear that part. That's solidified. Yeah. Now I'm saying that the Shakur it seemed like the Shakur and the winner of this Saturday, if it's Ryan, would be that fight beyond Showbiz. But I don't like the speculation. That's why Showbiz is saying a little bit. But when you start hearing it from people that you know more consistently, that's what it seems like they're talking really about independently. I'm like, okay, so where there's smoke, there's some fire, and so I kind of believe that's what it is.
Yeah, I believe that's what they want it to be, and obviously here goes Ryan Garcia in another situation again where a lot of money's on the backside of him getting a victory. Right here he is, same situation. A lot of fighters right now have got to be looking at Ryan Garcia like this. Like I can't help but believe that Devin's rooting for Ryan right now. Shakur's rooting for Ryan right now. Conor Ben is rooting for Ryan right now, right? It feels like everybody should be rooting for Ryan right now. Fans are rooting for Ryan right now, whether you like him or you dislike him. You want him to do his job on Saturday so that the next conversation can move forward, right?
Shakur's going to be at the fight.
Yeah,
he said it.
But here's the thing. What happens if he wins? Like I think the whole Golden Boy contract situation, if that is true, Clay, I think that plays a big part in what Ryan's decision is. I hate to say it, unless he figured out a way to get out of his contract still. If he wins a belt and keep it moving, then that's fine. But if he wins that belt and he has to renew for whatever amount of time, he's going to kill himself. I just don't think. I just don't see him wanting to commit to Oscar again.
Don't when guys win the belt, what you show you he gonna get extended is what you saying?
Everybody's got their own stipulations in their contract. That doesn't apply to everybody. But if you got a promoter who's smart, they're gonna put that in there for you. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that Oscar has that some type of a clause that if he wins a belt, he has to extend for another 3 fights or whatever that is. So
and I mean, Oscar seems like he has him ironclad, bro. I ain't gonna lie. He seems like he has him in a bad situation. Even the way he was talking, he was like, for the most part, I'm out of my contract, right? When Ryan was talking about it, he did a little interview and they talked about it. And he said for the most part. And what the hell does the most part mean? What does the most part mean? What are you talking about? You either is or you is you not my baby. You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on, man? And there's a gray area there that's leaving us lost.
And that same nuance, I think, goes to Virgil Ortiz as to why he don't have a belt and he's not going for a belt and he is really not trying to get that belt right now. Maybe he's trying to play out his contract. Who knows?
Right. Shout out to Mike Larry 3124 in the building says, what do I think about the 21st card? Honestly, I'm not familiar with those guys like that, bro. I'm not. It's a UK card. I'm definitely going to be watching it. That's for sure. Am I going to call it? Maybe not. I'm definitely going to watch it though, man. I'm looking forward to the Ishmael Davis and the Fawaz fight. That's a fight I'm looking forward to. I'm familiar with those two guys. I think Fawaz is a wild fight. I think Ishmael should handle that. I ain't gonna lie, but we'll see what Fawaz does. He's a new signee to Matchroom, and I'll be watching I'll be watching the card like you guys are, man, and learning about these fighters. I'm not that familiar with him though. It is what it is.
Hey, Mar, you know what I meant to ask you, man? I know your man's Tamir Smalls. He got a fight coming up with Abel Ramos, gang. I meant to ask. I know you high.
Oh,
Tamir Smalls.
Yeah. Hey, bro, let me tell you, Tamir, his last fight, if you watch me call it, you know I wasn't very impressed with what he did at all.
I remember
he
that.
lost the fight.
Yeah.
Tamir going into that fight, I thought was one of the most promising 147-pound prospects coming up in that division. He's somebody who I look forward to seeing being in there with a Devin Haney or, you know what I'm saying, at one point or another, a long time ago, or Jalil Hackett before Jalil, you know, made his move to 154 and then now Zuffa at 160. But I'm looking for the adjustments in this fight, man. I'm looking for the adjustments, and I'm a little nervous about it because I'm hearing more people from over there in that Philadelphia side said, man, you guys are asking a lot of him. He did a great job. I don't know, bro. He was headhunting. He didn't have that poise. He hurt the man, and he just wouldn't settle down, attack that body, stop all that movement. He didn't have the answer, Sway. If they're going to be honest with what the performance was, I'm looking to see a lot of good adjustments. But if it's just a man, that's the way it goes sometimes. I don't know, man. Abel Ramos looked pretty damn good against the last time I seen him, which was against Mario Barrios. Took him to a draw. I think he's coming from a good pedigree. You know what I mean? What is he, like the uncle or the older brother of Jesus Ramos? So he's coming from that background. I think it's gonna that's gonna be a great fight. I don't know who's going to win. It's going to be a great fight, but I'm looking for the adjustments. Personally, going into that fight, I'm looking for the adjustments.
You know, the fight that's totally under the radar and shocking because I think it's going to be it should be a great fight if there's no run. It's that.
Oh, okay, Mike. All right, Mike. I thought you were talking about the other card, the UK card. My bad, bro. I thought. Okay, but yeah, we'll talk about. That's what we're actually talking about right now. But go ahead, my bad.
The one that's under the radar that's not getting a lot of publicity. Maybe in the press conferences this week. Is that Duarte and Hitchins fight, bro? That's gonna be a great fight. It should be a great fight. It should be a great
fight of the night pick. Actually, I'm actually picking that to be fight of the night. Like I said, I was in Chicago for that Duarte and Kenny Sims fight. I went to that live, and Oscar Duarte made a fan out of me. He was coming to. He came to play. He came to play that night.
And I think there's an argument there to say that Kenny Sims is like the perfect fight for him to have to be in. For him to have been in to go into this fight, right?
Yes.
Like it's like a right stylistic fight. Like he's in that right zone right now. This is going to be
perfect
an interesting fight. Yeah.
Oh, Sims seems like he's fighting Barboza next. That's what I'm getting.
That's what I'm hearing. Arnold. Yeah, Arnold Barboza
for next month. So I mean, but yeah, it's a perfect fight for Duarte to line himself up versus. I mean, we'll see. I think if Lemos gave him problems. This guy could give him 10 times more the problems. So we'll see what Hitchins can do.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if Hitchins gets hurt the way he did against Gustavo Lemos, Duarte is a way better execution. He's going to finish him. Like I'm telling, that's what I believe. If you remember when Gustavo hurt Hitchins, Gustavo couldn't finish him. He couldn't cut that ring off. He couldn't get Hitchins together. Don't do that with Oscar. I'm just
that's real. No, that's real shit. Duarte. He big, man. He's a strong motherfucker. He wound tight. Like you can see him. Busting at the seams, man. He's
big time, bro. You see his legs, bro. He's got bro. His quads are like, damn, bro. I mean, it's not like they're ripped like he's a bodybuilder and shit. I'm like, damn, man.
And he's coming in with Robert Garcia, and we gotta start talking about these trainers and giving them their respect, man. When they in the building, we gotta acknowledge them, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a part of the whole situation as well. Robert Garcia versus his coach. I can't remember what his name is right now. Kenny, what's his name? Kenny something, Coach Kenny. I don't know. Richardson Hitchins trainer, but man, the game plan. You saw what Robert Garcia was able to do with Rayo Venezuela against Isak Pitbull Cruz. You saw what he was able to do with Raymond Morataya against Andy Cruz. He knows how to deal with those slick boxers when he got the punch. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to get those guys' mind together and get them with that right game plan that helps him deliver deliver at the end of the day. So I just think that that fight is going to be very interesting, but I got to disagree with you guys. I think the fight tonight is going to be Gary Antoine Russell versus Handy Hiroka. I think they're going to shoot out, bro. I think it's going to be lit. Handy's going to rumble. Gary's going to rumble, and we might see a knockout of the year candidate as well as a fight of the year candidate in that
That's
fight.
another sleeper. That's another sleeper.
Gary Antoine, then Clay. That's your pick. You picking Russell?
I'm going with Gary. Yeah, I'm going with Gary. Yeah, I'm going with Gary. But I know if you're trying to hold me to it so you can throw it in my face later if Andy wins, I know what I'm dealing with. I know Andy is very capable.
No, I ain't gonna do that to you. I know how. Yeah. We can't get them all right. I know how.
It is what it is, bro. I gotta choose.
Can't get them all right. Yeah, man.
And I happen to also I like the Russells. You know what I'm saying? I support the Russells, man. I you know what I mean. I got a close friend of mine.
I'm not worried about that fight. So. Like I know Tweezy's gonna smoke this dude, and that's why I'm not. I know he's gonna smoke him just like Norman Jr. smoked Sasaki, bro. I think that's what's. This guy's a little bit more dangerous because he's the guy who beat Sasaki. He's the one who gave Sasaki his loss.
Exactly.
Big. He's a guy too. He looked tall.
Yeah. He's a 6-footer, I think. But given that, I have more faith in Tweezy smoking this dude. But this Duarte and Hitchens, there's an element of dangerous on both sides because one guy can box. We can't take that away from Hitchens, but we see how he reacts to pressure fighters, and this guy is no limos. So I mean,
guys, it's about that time for me. I gotta go. Listen, I'm going to go live tonight at 9:30. Reyes will be there. Maybe Ray will be there as well. I'm not sure. I know it's kind of late because I know what he does at night, but we're gonna be continuing the conversation. That one will be an open panel too at some point or another. It's gonna be longer than this one. Unfortunately, my schedule is kind of messing with me where I gotta go handle something.
I already know how I go.
Peace out, guys.
We appreciate the platform, gang. Shout out to you, man. Albert Bell.
Congratulations to Albert Bell. No, seriously. I think as a community, ATP, we behind. Yo, you made me.
I thought of this guy, bro. I'm happy with this guy because he's been, he's a day one for Albert Bell.
Right, HL? Like when you heard him, you couldn't help but smile and be like, damn, bro. Oh, well, that's what's up, bro. Go ahead, Albert.
Bro.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully we get it done, man. We can't wait to
collect
that scout, man. Y'all be cool, man.
Right,
for sure, man. Salute to everybody in the building. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping in the building. We had a great interview earlier. Check it out. I'll be doing the edit so I can drop the interview, man. Great interview with Dimitri Popov and what's going on with Zuffa Boxing. Obviously, it's fight week. Stop by tonight. We're going to continue the conversation on Thursday's show. We'll have the weigh-ins and everything like that, and we'll be able to cover it even better from that point of view. You know what I'm saying? And looking forward to call the fight on Saturday. Don't be nowhere else but right here. You know what I mean? On Saturday, I'm going to be calling the fight. You know how I carry it. I'm going to continue to do what we do here, man. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. You know what it is. It's your boy Clay and Ray Davis in the building. It's at ATP Combat Media, also known as The Rain Report. And at this point, we out.
I would make it this far, they hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say, I got them picking up the pieces.